Well, good morning, Mr. Leroy Pacheco, and welcome to Tuesdays with Ro.
Buenos dias. Good morning, Mr. Rogelio. It's so good to see you. And I'm thinking back, having memories of all the work we did in Chicago when I was there for 10 years. And so I'm real blessed and very fortunate to have you as a colleague and a friend. So thank you very much for this morning.
Well, I definitely appreciate you, and we appreciate you taking the time. And yes, it was some time back that we were helping small businesses, and appreciate being on the board back then. I was on the board with External Loan Committee in Acción Chicago, so it was great. So nice again, thanks again. And this is Leroy Pacheco. He's executive director of the Loan Fund in New Mexico. And just so you understand it, he'll tell us a little bit more, but the Loan Fund is a very important organization within the community for small businesses, and he'll talk a little bit more about it. But first, let's get to know Leroy. Leroy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your background. How did you start in this? When did you start in this journey?
Well, I'm kind of like you. I got started robbing Circle K's and 7-Elevens, to get some money to lend out. But I started in the banking business back in the 70s and worked at several banks, including the U.S. Small Business Administration. And then I was very, very fortunate to find the other side of the desk and help start Acción New Mexico, and was fortunate to meet you in Chicago and ran Acción Chicago there for about 10 years. So I love the nonprofit side of lending. It's a different mindset. The loan fund, when I moved back from Chicago, was looking for a president and CEO, and I was very fortunate that I had worked with most of the board members and et cetera. And so when I interviewed for the job, it's a mission-driven organization. Rogelio, we in the late 80s, the early 90s, New Mexico was #1 in poverty. And so a group like you and I got together, crossing guards, teachers, bankers, and said, how do we solve this? What do we do? And we were very fortunate that, and I know you remember Hands Across America.
Oh, yeah.
Hands Across America gave a grant to the New Mexico Conference of Churches. And the New Mexico Conference of Churches decided, what do we do about poverty? What do we do? How do we feed people? So under the 501c3 umbrella of New Mexico Conference of Churches, they started Habitat for Humanity to build houses. They started the Roadrunner Food Bank and the Storehouse to feed people. They started the Samaritan Counseling Center to help people with domestic issues. And then they said, who creates more jobs? Well, small business. Well, let's lend money. Well, we had no money. So 4 chapters of the Adrian Dominican Sisters out of Adrian, Michigan, lent us $100,000.
Wow.
So today we're a $35 million organization. We've lent out $127 million and created about 13,000 jobs in New Mexico. So that's how we got started. And we're a mission-driven organization with a really good strategic plan. And we can talk a little bit more about how we're funded and go from there. So I'm really pleased to talk with you today and let people know where we are today and what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about mission-driven organizations, there's things behind it, right? It's not just the mission of the organization, but it's also the passion, the love, the wanting from the members, because it's very fulfilling to help out the communities, and you're doing it. I think it's a great combination: social work and banking put together for the benefit of all. So it's great. And again, thanks for what you're doing out in New Mexico. So tell us a little bit about what have you done? What has happened? I look back right now with I was in banking for a while, I would say for a quarter of a century, but I left banking a couple of years ago. Right after when we were going back to the office, that's when I left. When they said, "All right, COVID is over," but talk to us about what happened before, leading up to COVID and COVID happening. How did you guys deal with that?
Again, we're very fortunate. I think you and I both, Rogelio, to understand that a loan fund like us with a good strategic plan. I think you have to have a good strategic plan, whether you're a small business or an organization. And we put together a very good strategic plan of how we understand how we are, you and I are, I'm not lending to the president of Walgreens or Costco or public service company. I'm lending to Rogelio Lopez, who might be the father's son or uncle or brother. We're lending to generational businesses. We're lending to people who have been in business. The other day, I had a tree trimmer come in, 51 years in business. I'm talking to his grandfather, his father, and the son. So when we make a loan, we're making generational impact. You and I are helping the next generation, and we're helping. In fact, we created a book, Rogelio. I think maybe I sent you, and if I didn't, we created a book, Balancing Business, Family, and Culture, because that's what you and I have been doing for a long, long time. We lend to the father or the son or the daughter or the aunt who taught Rogelio how to make tortillas. I've been very fortunate over the years to work with some of the most creative, some of the most talented small businesses, all the way from making honey to bizcochitos, to engineers, to contractors, to restaurants. So I feel very fortunate that we're trying to continue to generate the experience and generate the wealth and pass the wealth on to the next generation, Rogelio. And I think you understand that very well. It is important for us to continue to be catalysts and to continue to try and accelerate the generational wealth and experience that we have, you and I work with.
And I agree with you. You know, you gave a little glimpse of next week, but next week we're gonna have your co-authors, I believe, on Tuesdays with Ro, Dr. Marvin Lozano and Michaela. So they'll be on and they'll be talking to us about that, about balancing business, culture, and family. And as I talk to people and let them know about the title, there's a lot of interest on that.
He reminds me a lot of you because I met him in 1980, and he was working for the National Economic Development Association out of Arizona, and I was working for the National Economic Development Association out of New Mexico. There was 29 branches around the United States. So we've been working together since we were kids, I call it, and we're still doing the same thing. We're balancing business, family, and culture. He's set up a wonderful website. He's going to tell you about this next week or so. You and I are continuing to open up doors, share resources. I love it when people call me up and go, we love it because we knew if anybody would know, it would be you. I love to be a clearinghouse for resource. You're a clearinghouse for resources. And that's the wealth that you bring to the community all over the United States.
And I definitely enjoy connecting people to the resources. And funny enough, when we talk about the areas where you're located, New Mexico, and you think of New Mexico, and I've been there. I played, of course, golf there once.
I remember.
But the what you see is like cactus and the or the cacti and the how they sprout with little or no resources. I mean, they get the heat, but the water, but they still thrive. And I always thought that small businesses thrive because they want to. You mentioned that family that 51 years in business, they thrive as a small business and probably not knowing what the resources are. So just being that person that can bring those resources and be strategic about it, that's where our name came from, CRARC Strategies, CRARC relating to CRARC Succession, you know, the resources, the planting, the plants that can grow with little or no resources and yet thrive to be a forest. So those are the things that we work at. No, great. So tell me a little bit more also about the what you guys are doing as far as for small businesses. What do you focus on? What is it that you do you know, specifically to help businesses grow and go to the next level?
A very good question, because that's really been one of our strengths over the years. Probably about 2010, 2011 or so, we went out, we're looking for, because everybody that came to us was lacking some guidance, technical assistance. You know, do I have the right accountant? Do I have a right legal structure? Do I have a website? Who can help me with a chart of accounts? So technical assistance was very, very important. So we applied for the Small Business Administration's microloan program. These are loans up to $50,000. The most we can charge is about 7.25% or so. But it comes with technical assistance. So every one of my staff, including other consultants, we have registered with the Washington, D.C. as a technical assistance provider. So when Rogelio gets a loan for $50,000 and he needs a website, we can provide that in-house or get a consultant. If he doesn't know a good chart of accounts for his new corporation, we can help him with a chart of accounts. And so we get a grant every year around about $240,000. I match 25% of that. And we're able to provide technical assistance to small businesses that are getting loans, microloans of $50,000 and below. So we think that technical assistance project that we've had for the last 10 to 12 years has really made a big impact in the small businesses in New Mexico. Again, we also went out about 2000, right before I got here, and went to the Small Business Investment Corporation, sort of a quasi state government agency, gets its money from the state federal tax fund from the and so we were able today, we started off with $1 million, Rogelio. Today our line of credit with the SBIC is $37.5 million at 0.5%. So Rogelio, this last number of years, when the rates went up, when we were barely recovering from, as you know, the largest recession in the world, in 2007, 2008, 2009, our 401ks became 104ks, right? And so for the next 10 years or so, it was very difficult. Then all of a sudden we had this pandemic that joined us, and government officials were telling us when to open, where to sit, how to feed people, wear a mask, and then we didn't even have a test. So we've recovered from that, and we went out and now have been able to get money as low as 0.5%. So we're lending money right now at 4.75 to 7.25%. And so right now, prime, I think, is about 8.5. I don't know what it is there in Chicago, but we're providing low interest money for the first time in 30 years.
Wow. That's
below
impressive.
Prime money to our customers, Rogelio. And I think that's going to make a difference in the future when we can take your 26% line of credit from a bank, your 22% credit card, and give you money at 5%.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing right now, Rogelio.
No, definitely. I mean, and you hit on a couple of good points there, and it's great what you're doing on the lending piece, that you're saving them money, getting them through to the next level and low cost. But you also talked about technical assistance, which I think it has evolved from when I first was in banking, and technical assistance was helping them with the accounting, the communication of corporate docs and everything. But now technology is a part of technical assistance, artificial intelligence, being able to market their business. I recall doing a marketing plan or helping a business prepare a marketing plan on how to solicit business, how to get referrals, how to work that side of the business. How has technology impacted the micro lending organizations like yourself?
Well, just like right now, we're here. You and I are 1,000 miles away from each other, and we're just like almost sitting in the same room. So technology, just from a Zoom standpoint, has been amazing. Where I can zoom in on a business that's up in Taos or in the mountains or in Chama, etc., down at Sunland Park or Santa Teresa, sitting right here. So we've been able to use technology to reach those businesses that are in the remote area, because we're losing banks here in New Mexico. We have some rural communities that no longer have a bank. They've got an ATM machine at the gas station, but you've got to travel 50, 60 miles to get to the closest bank. So those are the void that we have filled over the years, Rogelio, and so technical assistance, we find everyone that is coming to us, I don't care how well they've been doing whatever, has a few deficiencies in a couple areas, whether it's in the accounting area, whether it's in the projection area, and tracking of, if you're a contractor, in tracking your jobs, restaurants right now having to take a look at their costs, etc., because they've gone up. The cost of food, cost of labor's gone up. So we're helping businesses with pricing. So technical assistance, we're spending more time with technical assistance, which is really getting into the mind of the business owner, really finding out from Rogelio, do you really know what that chimichanga is costing you? do you really understand overhead? Do you really understand that you're taking $1.05 to make $1? No, I don't know that. So we really find that technical assistance is one of the areas where we can give to the business. We can show generational owned businesses that maybe now they need to use technology themselves. They need to create Excel sheets that allow them to make different changes real quickly regarding pricing and costs and etc. So you and I are continuing to financial literacy. I'm on several boards, Jumpstart Coalition, financial. We work with the FDIC on financial literacy. Okay. We're making sure right now. I mean, right now we have immigrant families, immigrant business owners that are getting financial advice from their 13 and 14-year-old because they don't know how to speak English, and so they're learning about HMOs and compound interest from their 13-year-old who's at school. So we're really down into the situation where we understand where it all starts. And we know where we want it to end. So we spend a lot of time in learning about Rogelio and his business and his family and the culture. And that's why you, like say, next week or so, you have my good colleague, my good friend, works for me on contract, Marvin Lozano, who's a PhD, MBA, former banker. You're going to find out how he's doing what you're doing. You helped me with the Hispano Chamber and Chicago. You helped me set up the Hispanic Bankers Association here in Albuquerque. I'm still on the board of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce. I ran the Hispano Chamber of Commerce here. I was on La Vita Chamber there in Chicago. You get involved. That's one of your powerful things that you do, Rogelio, is you really get involved in the community. And I think business owners need to do that too.
Exactly. No, I agree with you. They need to be involved and engaged, involved, and really invested in the community. Couple of I jotted down a couple of notes here. You talk about generational businesses, and one of the things that here's a question about how you're seeing generational businesses and how they're preparing for passing the business from generation to generation, because we have seen here in the Chicago market that businesses that started 50 years ago, now the kids are coming up and the kids may be like, well, I went into computers. I don't want to go into that. I don't want to do the taco stand. I don't want to do this. I wasn't planning on doing that. How is that in New Mexico? And then the second question on that is, how are they, how do you see in New Mexico the preparation or the planning for generational wealth? How are they planning, life insurance, and how do you see all that?
That is one of the real concerns that we have right now, because here's what's happening to a lot of the family-owned businesses in New Mexico. So maybe the oldest son doesn't want to work in the business. He wants to go into computers. Maybe the oldest son doesn't want to sell used cars, and etc. So now we're looking at who is your next most valuable employee. Who we just did about 3 or 4 business buyouts that went to. We just did one in Taos for a hamburger place that's been up there for 30-some years, and the gentleman has no heirs. He has no sons or daughters. So he picked a young lady who's a 20-year Air Force veteran who's been working for him for 15 years. She's now the owner of the restaurant. So we've done this, another one in Santa Fe for a jewelry company that's been there for about 25 years. They had no kids, no heirs, no nothing. But we now took a gentleman who's been working with him for 9 years. He has 10 employees. We turned it over to him. He's now a gemologist. He's watching the business. So if we can give it to your most loyal employee, if you can give it to your most loyal person that you think that will take care of it and keep the jobs that are there and preserve and create whatever's there. So if it isn't a son or a daughter or a cousin or an uncle, then who best would be able to help? The other thing we're doing too is working with people that are now employee owned. We have a technology company here that does about 40 or 50 million a year today. And he's just retiring. He's staying as chairman of the board, but now all of the employees own that company. So that's his protection to make sure that his company continues. And the people that are running that right now all own the company. But so employee-owned companies we're looking at right now is a good way to keep generational things together. And so any way that we can, Rogelio, is to concentrate on what has been the biggest strength, as far as I'm concerned, in New Mexico, is generational small-owned businesses. Whether they grow eggs, whether they make honey, bizcochitos, beef jerky, restaurants. We have a great story right now that came to us for a microloan about 15 years ago, 2 or 3 microloans, father and son out of Las Vegas, New Mexico, up north, really hit bad by the recession, etc. Today, with an SBA microloan and another loan from SBA and into the SBA 8A program, they have 52 employees.
Wow.
52 employees. They have $1 million line of credit from me, and they're going to do about $10 to $11 million in sales this year. If you take the time, if you see what it needs, if you nurse it correctly, if you provide it the right resources, and you're patient. One of the things I think, Rogelio, that I want to tell you about over the years is we're patient with our funding. You know, it's hard to harvest the crops when they're still in the ground, right?
Yeah.
And still growing. So you have to have patience with the client, and some take a little longer. And so that's why a good strategic plan, I do an update strategic plan on most of our clients almost every year. How are we doing to your budget? How are we doing to your projections? Are we doing okay? What's too high? What's too low? So we're spending an awful lot of time with technical assistance, and we're spending an awful lot of time on keeping that business going. And if it isn't the son or daughter, who's your most cherished employee? Who would you like it? Or would you like this company to be employee owned? So we have a lot of angles that we're coming at to make sure, because New Mexico has been a very poor capital state for years. You know, we're huge in land mass, but we don't have we got huge banks in town now, but
Okay.
when you helped us with the Hispanic bankers, etc., Bank America was the only big bank that we had in town. Now at least we've got Wells Fargo, US Bank, PNC, BMO, and others like that too. But it's still tough for the small businesses to get money.
No, I definitely agree, and kudos to you guys for all that strategic planning and working with the business owners to pass on the business to the right individuals. And as I mentioned, it's strategic planning, and it's really making sure that they plan ahead. I always ask people their success plan. What is their plan to be successful? And then I tell them that the translation of success in Spanish is éxito. So you have a strategy for success. What is your strategy to exit? What's your exit strategy? Is it going to be passing it on to your kids? What if they don't want it? So plan way ahead and start talking, start preparing. And what best way to also get employee investment from the get-go? You know, start looking at your employees when they come in. Are they going to be the ones that can own if they run it like they own it, let them own it so they can run it.
Well said. I think you're like-minded, I think is what I call people, is really understanding right now. The thing that I like about what you've been doing is you're understanding that there are federal resources, state resources, there are corporations, there are financial institutions. I mean, when you look at this organization over the years, we've received money from Ford, you know, we've received money from PNC Bank, we've received money from Small Business Administration, we've received money from the county. So, you know, if you and I are not looking under rocks and everything else for resources, I mean, that's our job, I think, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Mine right now is to make sure that people know, you know, what do they say in Spanish? No sabes lo que no sabes. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And so it's your job and my job to make sure that we provide the best. These podcasts that you have going on here, this bantering that you're doing every other Tuesday is really making a difference. The fact that you're spreading the knowledge, the fact that somebody can go back and watch years of YouTube where you've put together really exceptional people with great information to help small businesses throughout the state. You know, one of the biggest things I think that has helped me is to be involved in chambers of commerce, to be involved. I'm on the advisory board of the Small Business Development Centers. You know, I'm on the Black Chamber. I'm on the American Indian Chamber, the treasurer. So it's important to get involved in organizations just for business networking and just what you can learn. Mentorship is real important. We're trying to get score mentors for almost every business that we have. If I can line up Rogelio Lopez with 5 or 6 of my businesses, I know they're talking to the right people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. You're right on the money right now. Is I might be a good carpenter, a good welder, but do I know how to run a business? That's a whole different thing. So that's where we're spending a lot of time helping with technical assistance, mentorship, financial literacy. Those are very, very important tactics and resources that we're using.
Very good, very good. Now, again, very specific job that the loan fund is doing, and kudos to you for all the support that you're giving small businesses. Let's talk about we're halfway through 2024, which I think, I don't know if your fiscal year is June or not, but let's talk about what is next for the loan fund. What's the next year look like? What are the big plans, and what are the big challenges that you foresee? Since I know that every time when you look at a strategic plan, you look at strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What are the challenges that you have to prepare for in the next years to come?
Well, I think you hit all of them on top of the head right now. You know, we're in a real critical time coming out of this pandemic. Interest rates are high. You know, if you go to a bank, you might get 2% above prime, 10% or so, and Leroy's over here at the loan fund lending at 4.75 to 7. So what we're trying to do is we're understanding right now that we did just like any other business. We kept our overhead low. We went out and found the cheapest money we could for as long a term as we can. So our goal right now, my goal right now, I am talking to 6 or 7 of my largest funders, and I'm asking them for money. I'm asking them for, it's a document called EQ2, Equity Equivalent Investment. That's long-term money, low interest rate, but what's key about them, it's subordinated to all other debt. So I'm trying to enhance my balance sheet to become a better investment for funders. I'm going to foundations. I'm going back to my faith-based organizations. If each one of them would just increase what they give me by 10 to 15%, I can raise another $50 million. So right now, what we're doing, we're averaging right now, Rogelio, last year we averaged about $750,000 to $800,000 a month in lending. We're averaging about $1 million a month right now. So right now, my goal was for 2024 was to lend around $12 million or so. We're on track to do that and more already. We're already looking at 2025. And I know that I have my funding locked in through 2025. So I can tell you right now that I think my board wants to continue to give low interest loans to small businesses. We have right now probably about $6 to $7 million in our pipeline of people waiting in line. They're on the stove next to my calabacitas and my chicos and beans, and they know they need to wait, and they're willing to wait if I can cut their interest rate by almost a third or even by half. And so that's our goal right now, Rogelio, is to continue to provide as low interest money as we can. We're not looking for profit. We're looking for investment. We're looking to take that business in Taos or Sunland Park or Santa Teresa or Gallup, etc. We're lending money to indigenous businesses, to Black-owned businesses, Asian businesses, and etc. We're really trying to make an effort right now to get low interest money out to as many people as we can, because we think generationally it's going to make a difference in the long run when you're looking at everybody else paying 15, 20, 25%. Some of our colleagues, I looked at their rates, 15 to 24%.
Wow.
It's like throwing a brick at a drowning person. You know, if you have to take it, it's not going to help you, and it's just going to sink you down. So when they come in to see us and we make them a quote at 5% or 6%, they are so gracious to us. They become very, very loyal to the loan fund. Right now, 97% of the loans we're making are all coming from referral, from Rogelio's cousin, from Rogelio's uncle. You know what? I don't advertise. I don't have to advertise. They follow us. They follow us to church. They follow us to the grocery store. They follow us around town because they know that we have good money and we have good character, and we're mission driven. We're here to create jobs in New Mexico. We're here to create more small business in New Mexico. And I have a board that's supportive of that. And you can run all the ratios you want. We're a CDFI under the U.S. Treasury. We get great support from CDFI. great support from the Small Business Administration. And Rogelio, I'm going to continue to knock on all those doors for as long as I'm here, because I think it will benefit New Mexico as well as the generational small business owners of New Mexico.
No, well, congratulations and keep up the good work. I'm sure you have those plans and it'll get done. Good staff behind you that'll keep on going. And of course, you got access to the resources and the support from the community. So that's great. And we'll look forward to seeing more successes in New Mexico. Last words of wisdom for small business owner that is or that person that is thinking about starting their own business. What do you think?
I think right now, what I'm noticing right now is over the last number of years, balance sheets are beat up. Receivables don't exist anymore in some businesses because the business is closed. Make sure you have your financials together. Be very, very up to date on your financials, personal as well as your business. So when you come to see someone like us at the loan bin, etc., be prepared. Good, bad, and ugly. I'm not the INS. I'm not the IRS. I'm here to help you. I'm here to become a partner. So if you don't tell me where it hurts, if you can't show me that you owe $50,000 to your grandma and you owe something else, you got to tell us that. So I can just tell you right now that I think that, we have about a 97, 98% repayment rate because we think we know our customers very, very well. So my preaching to the small businesses out there in New Mexico and everywhere else, get your financing together, put your resume together, put your last 2 or 3 years of tax returns, personal and business together, and have a strategic plan. Have a plan of where you want to take your business and who's going to run it and how it's going to be run. Those are things that I would advise. People ask me if they need a business plan, and I go, well, you don't really, but it's like driving at night with no lights on. Either you're going to hit somebody or somebody's going to hit you. So know where you're going. Find yourself a mentor. Find yourself somebody you can talk to, whether you just have coffee or somebody like Rogelio to talk with once in a while, and see if you're headed in the right direction. You have a lot of wealth, Rogelio. You're a clearinghouse of resources, and I think people need to take advantage of that and get involved. Get involved in the chambers. Get involved in the associations, and I think if you do that, you'll be in the community, and people will know you in the community, and that's what you want.
Well, I second those words. You talk about driving without the headlights, and I look at it as a business is a long journey where you need a map. That's your business plan.
That's right.
And that's your GPS at one point, but your map. You want to be able to course correct. If it's not going in the right direction, course correct. And if you didn't have that map, or you had the map but you didn't read it right, stop and ask for help.
Very true.
Ask for help. You have the resources. Please ask. Reach out. You got the New Mexico Loan Fund, the loan fund out there. You have the chambers of commerce. You have the small business development centers throughout the nation. You have SCORE, which is the service of retired engineers out there that can help out with that. So ask. There is help out there. Resources are available, but you got to ask, and we can go from there. Again, Leroy, I thank you for being our guest today. Appreciate you, and then we'll stay in touch. And again, next week will be should be fun with getting to know a little bit more about the book and the website. We do have some great guests coming up, so more information to follow. Follow our LinkedIn. The video will be up on YouTube as well for those who missed it. Thank you.
Rogelio, keep doing what you're doing. I can't tell you how precious and wonderful this is for you to continue to open doors for people, to continue to answer questions for people, because that's what they need right now. I don't care if you're a talented welder, bizcochito maker, engineer, contractor, whatever. Keep listening to Rogelio. Keep listening to his bantering. It is worth something, and I congratulate you again after all these years. That I think you're on the right track, and I really appreciate being a resource of yours. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rogelio.